company culture comes from leadership. In other words, you can write your company culture or the important things about your company or the mantras on paper all the time. But if the company doesn't live that way, or if it's just this is the rules and this is what you have to do, but they don't see it coming from their leadership, then it's not going to happen.
Welcome to the Magnificent Marketing Podcast, where we interview the top marketing experts in the world and keep you up to date on all the changes and best practices to help you grow your business and stay on the cutting edge. Welcome to the show. I'm here today again with Ted Rubin, and Ted is a leading social marketing strategist, keynote speaker, brand evangelist, acting CMO of Brand Innovators, and co-founder of the recently launched Prevailing Path. In March of 2009, he started using and evangelizing the term ROR, which is return on relationships, and has the hashtag R on R. Many people in the social media world know Ted for his enthusiastic, energetic, and undeniably personal connection to people. Ted is the most followed CMO on Twitter, according to Social Media Marketing Magazine, one of the most interesting CMOs on Twitter, according to Say Media, number 13 on Forbes' top 50 social media power influencers, and number 2 on the lead tail list of top 25 people most mentioned by digital marketers. And today we are going to be talking about empowering your employees to embrace moments of connection. Ted, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, David. Always love to get on the phone and chat with you a little bit, and always appreciate your audience and love the way, and I mean this sincerely because I do this a lot with different people. I love the way you package it, put it together for your audience, the way you share it and reshare it and repurpose it, because too many people think content is static or only usable once. And I think that's where a lot of the problem comes, whether it's for the company itself and the way they present and use content as an ad and the way they empower their employees, is that, they're still looking to agencies to keep producing content instead of realizing that their employees and their consumers half the time are doing it for them.
Yeah, hey, thank you for saying that. And that's funny you touch on that, is we've recently dipped into kind of an idea that we've come up with recently, and just to share this idea with others. I mean, that's what content marketing is all about, right? Don't hold your secrets in. And we're just starting, and the very first bit has worked out great, but we're trying to create like social ambassadors, internal and external. Internal would be employees, external would be your passionate fans. And not every company is going to have passionate fans, but a lot of them do. And it's about doing that, getting them involved in helping spread the word of stuff that they're proud to share. So it's funny you say that because that's something that we started to dip into, and it makes so much sense. And a lot of people, you're right, they produce something and then they leave it be, and it's like, whoa, you got to distribute it, you got to get it out there. So thanks for saying that. But so moments of connection. Let's first define that real quick, and then we'll let you take it and run. So first, go ahead and define what we're talking about in regards to moments of connection.
Well, moments of connection are just the way people from your brand or your company or however you perceive it engage or connect with people outside and within the company. So remember that this happens no matter what you do for a business. I mean, some businesses clearly are not consumer facing, which means that in their eyes they think, hey, we don't really have moments of connection, but they do. They have a receptionist. They have someone that answers the phone in customer service. They have salespeople who they very often forget are their customer service people and their salespeople are the front line of their brand. And whether it's like people say, well, we don't have a receptionist anymore. We don't have a phone that rings and we don't answer it. It's all digital. Well, they're connecting with people digitally. And although people tend to think that that's something hidden, just go to my second book, How to Look People in the Eye Digitally. And what that is all about is how to make that digital connection to mirror as closely as you can that face-to-face personal or voice-to-voice personal connection, which means showing people that you care about them, whether it's face-to-face and, you're taught to look somebody in the eye or pay attention to them when they're speaking. The same thing happens digitally or on the phone. And there are companies, as we know, that do that poorly, even in a face-to-face situation. The receptionist never looks up from the desk. The person behind the cash register who can't answer a question straight. The person who you call in customer service who just keeps repeating a mantra mantra or a basic canned answer without actually listening to what your problem is. So for me, moments of connection have just expanded exponentially with this whole proliferation and scaling of social platforms, because people don't recognize it because so many brands just use their social platforms to broadcast media, but people expect them to engage there. And I mean, how many companies do you see their agencies tell them, put out a question, you'll get lots of comments. It looks good when you have lots of comments. Well, it doesn't look good if half those comments have questions in them and nobody's answering those questions, or even just thanking them for their input. I mean, you remember the days of walking into a store and the merchant said, how can I help you? Or how can I be of service to you? And every time you walked out the door, and you get this with some brands today. I mean, even the dollar stores, the family dollar stores, you walk in, and by the way, most of them are not staffed well. They have maybe 2 or 3 people, but that woman up front at the cash register has multiple functions, and one of them is saying hello and goodbye to everybody that walks in and out of the store. And that makes a difference. And what happens is, how do we translate that into a digital environment as well, since most of our brands in one way or another are doing a great deal of their connection that way. So, I call that moments of connection. And for me, many brands look at that as an obstacle. They look at it as a challenge. My opinion is you need to look at it as an opportunity. You're having all these incredible opportunities to show who you are. You're walking down a beach and you're passing by everybody and saying, hi, how are you? You're building a reputation. Oh my God, that's the guy on the beach who says hello to everybody. That's the guy, like, I fly a lot. And whenever I fly, I wear a shirt that says "Be good to people," and I kind of become known for it. And it's not my brand; it's someone else's that I've adopted. And I adopt a lot of brands that I love. And why do I wear it? Well, number one, I wear it because I like to show people my perspective on life. But I got to tell you, from a selfish perspective, I wear it because I get treated better when I wear a shirt and have on my laptop a sticker and a shirt that says "Be good to people," because people right away, they smile, they react nicely. And it's my way of saying smile and be nice to people, because it makes a difference. When you're nice to a flight attendant or a gate agent who gets basically abused by everybody, it's amazing how much better you will get treated, even if it's just a simple smile.
No, I'm hearing you. And you mentioned, like, the other, the not good aspects of the way companies go, but think about how you view the companies who do embrace these moments of connection. There's certain brands I have in my mind that they obviously have an amazing company culture because they're gargantuan chain, even if it's like a certain restaurant. I believe I've always had a good experience at Slotsky's. They must have a good company culture because they're always polite and nice, and it's unbelievable how that that can transform an entire company. So they're, on the flip side of that, the companies who are doing it well, you have these great views of them, and it can make a massive amount of difference. And obviously on the opposite end of that, I definitely have some views of some companies. I'm like, what is up with this company?
Right.
They're just, and it's not hard. It's not, you're already living, you're already breathing, you're already spending the time being there to interact. You might as well do it the right way, or, be engaging. On that note, would kind of like have you talk about, in your opinion, I mean, you're out there, I mean, you heard me read your bio, and you're obviously a huge influence. You're obviously in social media and messaging and all that. In your opinion, what are the best qualities needed for the messaging? Do you have any kind of core advice that you would give to, CMOs or executives that they could pass down and help out? What, in your opinion, what are the best qualities needed for the messaging for these moments of connection?
Well, the first piece of advice comes right from what you just talked about. It comes from company culture. And where does company culture from? Company culture come from? Company culture comes from leadership. In other words, you can write your company culture or the important things about your company or the mantras on paper all the time. But if the company doesn't live that way, or if it's just this is the rules and this is what you have to do, but they don't see it coming from their leadership, then it's not going to happen. So, to me, the most important thing is the leadership, is leading by example, is a leader that answers emails before he goes home, a leader that responds to people by name, a leader that takes the time to learn. Now, it doesn't mean he knows every employee in the company. The bigger the company gets, obviously, the more impossible that's going to get. But even like if a senior executive is visiting I don't care if you have 5,000 stores, you're visiting a store, you take that moment to say, get me a list of the people that work there, with photos. If it's a corporate or if it's a senior leadership team or if it's an executive management team, go to LinkedIn. Take the time to know who these people are. Because when they see you doing it, then that expectation comes. When you don't do it, why should they do it? And I see this in companies all the time. But, what happens all the time, and like I said, I wrote a post about this, is that you watch the people around you, and so many senior executives have so much hubris of how important they are that, oh, I'm too busy to answer your emails, or I get too many emails. And the point, and just to show you how people are so focused on making excuses instead of opening their eyes to the mistakes they're making, 90% of the people who wrote comments are like, well, people are very busy and you get all these spam messages, and they didn't even bother really reading my post. Because what my post said, if you had gone past the title, which so many people just read titles, okay, and it's why it's why fake news proliferates so much, because half the people just read the title and they don't even know that the post isn't even about that. Okay, they're using clickbait titles, but if you'd read it, it would have said these people that don't respond to people they know and have relationships with, people that you've met and done favors for, people that you met at events who said, hey, David, anytime you need something, give me a call. I'll be happy to help you out, or shoot me an email. And then they never answer your email because they're too busy. And to me, this happens so much on the executive level that it comes down through the organizational ranks. Now, there used to be a rule at Walmart. I do not believe it still exists, but it might. So I don't want to say it doesn't. But back when John Andrews, my business partner, worked there in 2007 and 2009, you could not go home without cleaning out your inbox. Like there was a rule that you had, before you closed up for the day, you had to respond to every email. Now, that doesn't, by the way, responding doesn't mean answering the question or getting them what they need. It means having the courtesy to let somebody recognize that you've seen what they've sent to you. So, like,
that's so funny. That's so funny you say that. That's exactly
what I'll do a lot is that I'll send out an email saying, hey, David, I got so much on my plate right now. I can't respond to this right now. And then I'll do one of a few things. I might say, get back to me. I'll get back to you tomorrow. I might give you a time span, or I might say to you, and I don't have a problem putting it back on you. You're coming to me, you want something from me. I'll say, David, I am inundated right now. Do me a favor, in 48 hours or in 24 hours or in a week or whatever it is, send me this message. Come back to me unless it's time sensitive and remind me. But what I'm doing is I'm empowering them on how to communicate and work best with me. So I think back to your original question, whether it's a retail store, whether it's a major software company, a SaaS platform, whatever it is, employees are going to learn from the people they report to. So I'm going to learn from my director or my manager. My manager's going to learn from their director, and up the chain. And if at a senior level, those people have a CEO, CMO, CFO, all the other people that act as if they're too busy to have time for them or can't be bothered to respond to a message, then they're going to learn from that. And again, it's all about setting expectations. In other words, I might, as a senior executive, say, hey, don't CC me on everything. I don't want to see that. And I also like to train people on teams that I work on is don't CC the world and think you're like, don't just CC me because you feel like. Then what you're doing is you're creating your own problem. You're inundating someone with information or messaging, and then they don't know which ones are important, or at least use your subject line to say, I need an answer to this very quickly. So there are ways to train this. And when you get senior executive level management that does this, it goes all the way down to the basic foot soldier level. And then you create a real culture of people that know how important it is to engage, interact, respond to people. Go into a Whole Foods. Nobody in a Whole Foods will ever say to you, oh, it's on aisle 5 down on the end over there. Every single one of them, they're in the middle of stacking their cans or working on a project. They stand up and they walk you to where the product is. I mean, try getting that in a Walmart.
No. Let me interject here. Let me validate this shout out to Whole Foods, because on Thanksgiving, my wife ordered. There's something happened with the order. I don't know if it was on her fault or it was Whole Foods' fault. Didn't really matter, but we ended up not getting a confirmation email. My wife the night before, and we were actually getting food for an entire tailgate, all the sides. I mean, it was like in the big football tailgate, and we had to have food there for everybody. And not to mention our little personal home thing, but it was a bigger deal for the other stuff. And she was up all night the night before, stressing out about it. And I go there, and guess what? There was not an order. These two ladies overheard. God, I wish I had her name. They overheard the issue I was having, and I was like, "Well, is there any solution? What else can we do?" Those long lines at Whole Foods for all that stuff. This one lady took me around the store and walked me through, and we got everything we needed. And I was blown away by the service, and I didn't seem like it was out of the ordinary. It really felt like that's just what they do. And it was amazing. And now we're talking about Whole Foods, right? And we can't be the only ones in the world talking about a good experience from Whole Foods right now, probably.
It's what they do every day. I go to Whole Foods all the time. That is their company culture. And it's no surprise that they're now a part of Amazon, because in a digital way, that's Amazon's culture. I mean, they get things done for you, and they take it kind of a step further. And this is what I love about Amazon, is they actually think ahead of you, of what's important to you, like the way that they've just evolved their service. They listen to their customers. It used to be like anybody else, they were great, you could return anything, but you had to package it, you had to print out a label, and now you just go online, say you're returning it, and drop the box outside your door. Mm-hmm. And they send someone to pick it up. I mean, and look, there are a lot of, don't get me wrong, these are not the only businesses out there doing it. There's a lot. I go to Bed Bath & Beyond, and they are a company that's in trouble. And I'm not a stock analyst. I'm not giving, buying advice, but they're in trouble. They're an old school retailer. They're competing with Amazon. They're competing with, there's another company out there that does, I forgot what it's called, Weigh In or something, that does some of what they do. I just don't happen to shop there. But they make such an extraordinary effort in store, knowing that this is their strength, to make you happy. Like, they get me. They send things to your home. They don't charge you delivery if you're in the store and they're out of something. I don't know if you've seen my videos lately, but I go there and I discovered they have these massage chairs. They have these pads that go over chairs, and they have them out there because they're, again, understanding that retail is changing, that experiential marketing is coming somewhere. Like John Andrews, my business partner, our idea is they should have massage centers. But I go in there, and my joke now is I go there to buy a towel, or I just renovated my apartment, so I've been there a lot lately. And I sit down on the massage chair for 40 minutes with my phone and I work. And nobody gives me a hard time. They smile at me. They walk by, I go, "Excuse me, can I get a beer, please? Do you guys serve coffee?" And they don't make a face at me or get annoyed. They smile. They say, "Make yourself at home. They make yourself happy." They're another one of these stores that, who else is really good at this? I'm trying to remember. But what they do is if a line starts getting low, they immediately get on the horn and they call people up to man more registers, because they don't want you waiting. Okay, I forgot. This was a local store back where I used to live in Huntington. There was a place called Southdown Market that was incredible at that. And this was a store. This was a grocery store, a standalone, a one shot that was competing with a lot of the big chains right down the block. But it was right across from my house. And I remember when I was struggling, fighting to keep my kids in my life, and every nickel made a difference because I was running tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees every month. All of a sudden, I stopped in there once, because I didn't shop there because I was looking to save money. I go to King Cullen or Wallbaum's or ShopRite or something. And oh my God, first of all, I got in and out of there in a heartbeat. You never, ever wait online in this place. The minute there's a second person online, somebody comes running up and opens another lane. And they were so delightful and friendly that I realized that I actually wasn't spending more money because my time was so valuable that I was I walked out of there feeling good. So I was willing. It became my store of choice. And there's so many companies that could do this and make that difference. But try walking into a Walmart and get that. Recently I needed, and I made some videos of this too. I went into Walmart and I was looking for a couple of things that I couldn't find anywhere else, which made me go to a Walmart. I don't often go there. And every time I asked a question, and you know how monstrous the store of Walmart is. They're like, oh, it's over in the back over there. Keep your eye open for the desks because they're right behind it. And I had to spend another 20 minutes walking around looking for it. And nobody, I'd asked 3 different people, not one person would walk me over to show me where it was. And what does that mean? That means I never, ever go to a Walmart unless I specifically need a beach chair and know that it's the only place I can get it.
Yeah. So I'm definitely hearing, we're talking about, culture starts at the top, filter down, and that will lead to obviously great things within a company culture, especially, the challenge gets the bigger you get. But again, the same thought process happens. I would like to touch on the social interactions and help, as far as those moments of connections and how to respond and the framework or if there is one or whatnot. So, obviously there could be risks with employees potentially messing up. Again, the larger you get to manage and monitor every single interaction, every single employee at that singular point of time is impossible. So they need to know how to respond. But again, some people might mess up and say the wrong thing or say it the wrong way. What would you say to those who have that line of thinking, that fear of people messing up?
I think there's more risk in the other direction. So I don't think messing up is a big risk. First of all, if you interview and hire the right employees, if you pay attention to your employees and don't keep long-term people that are not good employees, that don't pay attention, that don't listen to the guidelines and training, if you pay attention and empower them and let them know that, just like with a child, come on, we're all parents. What is the basic parental training? Teach your children they're responsible for themselves, that you're going to give them rope, and if they step over the line, if they do something wrong, you're going to pull it back. But the better they do, the more they get your trust, the more you're going to give them. And when they do screw up, if they built the reputation of always doing it right, you're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Or if they do say to you every once in a while, hey, Dad, I can't tell you exactly what I'm doing right now, but trust me, you're going to say, of course I trust you. Because you always know what you're supposed to do. And what does that do? That empowers them to every time they do something, they're thinking, hey, would Mom and Dad approve of this? Because, wow, they've really given me this opportunity. And sure, there are bad kids out there, but for the most part, that's how you empower your children to be thinkers, to work out problems, to better themselves, to do good for people. And the other way, back to our earlier conversation, is they watch you. Like I always say that I grew up with a dad, and I love my dad, and he was great, but he grew up in a different generation, and it was do like I say, not like I do. Now, he was not a bad guy, but he cut lines, he did things. I tried with my daughters very hard to say, do like I do, and to demonstrate for them the way you need to talk and treat people. And this goes into what we're talking about. So back to what I'm saying about the risk or the opportunity is that most employees will engage with people in a positive way. And guess what? If they mess up, you're going to know about it. And if they mess up and you jump in, whether it's in a minute or an hour, as soon as you find out about it and correct the situation, then it's going to be a learning experience for them. People are going to say, even have more, I believe, confidence in you, because they're going to say, wow, they let their employees do these things. But then if something happens, they come in and they take responsibility for it. Mm-hmm. And I think the risk side of it is that, you said especially digitally, because everybody's looking to automate, make my job easier, especially marketers. Marketers, for the most part, are very lazy people. Okay, they want to come in at 9, they want to leave at 5. They want to make things. Oh, I can buy all my media just by pressing a button. Oh, I can connect with consumers just by sending a bot that goes out and answers their questions. Well, where's the risk in that? The risk in that is an experience I had with Fitbit this week. So my Fitbit and my daughters both kind of fell apart within the first year of having them. Apparently, that's a pretty regular thing. And I reached out to them through regular customer service channels, and I got basically blah, 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 blah. Fill out this form, do this thing, take this picture, just bullshit. So I went to social, and I said, really disappointed. My daughter and I, both of us, hers doesn't charge, mine is falling apart, and nobody's really responding. Well, within minutes, Fitbit support responded. But this was classic. Now, my guess is it's being handled by an agency. And I'm very anti-agency handling your social media. I'm not anti-agency doing things that are valuable, but I think that they should not be talking to your consumers. You should be having your employees talk to your consumers.
I agree.
And if they are, they need to have employees working hand in hand with them. So I get this answer right away, and it kind of seems like it's personal. But the minute it went past the initial engagement, I started getting bot responses. I mean, they were totally canned. I mean, and they reached out to me within minutes asking me to put a recommendation for them on social media. Oh, it seems you've been very happy with our response. Can you please let the world know that? Blah, blah, blah. Really? I wrote back and said, I'm actually very unhappy with your response. Why would do you want me to tell the world that? That was in a direct message.
What happened after that?
Well, I got there. Somebody wrote, wow, look at Fitbit. They responded to you so quickly. That's amazing. And I said, well, actually, they haven't done anything to help me except give me the same form information they gave me online, but let's wait and see because, I'm open to that. And then immediately I got a thing from Fitbit. Thank you for your response. Like it was clearly an automated thing. And what do? They destroyed their brand in my eyes. I have a lot of followers. I would tell you thousands of people saw this interaction. And I know for a fact, because I've learned to gauge how many people see my things versus how many people respond or do a retweet or jump into the conversation. And enough of them did that I know it went well beyond that because I like to say that most people participate vicariously. You don't even realize how many people are watching and paying attention and listening in the conversations who are not liking them, retweeting them, engaging in them, but they're just paying attention, especially around brands and the way they treat people. Now, in the end, and I will give them credit, they came around, but I was very clear to them. And also, I know a little bit about the business, and this went to them, they sent me emails, and the emails asked me for information and pictures, and write down on a piece of paper your case number and place it next to your Fitbit and take a picture. The damn product cost $89. What is their cost? Their cost on this product can't be more than $20, right? Why not just send me a damn new one? They must have spent $200 responding to me in costs of their agency. I would say at a minimum. Okay? So what they're doing is they're protecting their brand at two costs. At the cost of pissing off consumers, who then go out and share it prolifically. And half the time they're not even seeing it, because don't forget about traditional word of mouth. They go to the PTA meeting, they drop off their kid at school, and they're like, fuck Fitbit. And I apologize for that language on your podcast. You're welcome to.
No. Companies that curse are more profitable, Ted. I read that somewhere, and I use that to validate my language.
But let me just backtrack a second. Let's not get off traditional ROI. The money they're spending, engaging and putting me off versus the cost of their product and the opportunity of saying, you know what? Ted, or even if I don't care if there's 1,000 of me, they know there's a problem with their product. They have to. Okay. Look, Nike did this. Nike had their fuel band, and Nike had a problem with them. They kept falling apart. All you had to do at one point was walk into a Nike store, and they just gave you a new one. You walked in and said it's not working. They'd put it onto a thing to test it. They'd see it's not working. I mean, I'm going to tell you how bad this auto response is. My daughter, they asked me for her email address because they said they have to locate her, her item. Because, with Fitbit, you register and you put the app on. So I give them her email address, and all of a sudden I'm getting texts from my daughter going, why is Fitbit emailing me? I gave them this information, and they started emailing my daughter. And I wrote to them, I said, stop emailing my daughter. She does not want to hear from you. She just threw it out. Like, she doesn't even want it. I'm the one who's saying, no, honey, don't worry. They'll get you a new one. And so now you think about just all of these things, and then they listen to the email they sent her. I told them, and they got this. There's a case number. Go to the case number on their site, and it shows what my complaint was, that my daughter's Fitbit will not charge. You want to know what the advice they gave her? The things she had to do before they would take it back. She had to connect it to the internet, and it would communicate with it. I said it won't charge. How can it communicate if it won't? They're like, charge your Fitbit and then connect it to the app. Excuse me. The problem with the Fitbit is it won't charge. And you're telling me to make sure it's charged before I connect it to the
Yeah, I'm getting frustrated hearing this. So on this note, though, there's something I'd like to dig into here, is like guidelines versus autonomy, or more for the two, right? Like, I know you've worked with some big brands. I know you've seen this. I know you obviously have dealt with it from the other end of the experience, and at what you pay attention to, and how you form your opinions on, what people should or shouldn't be doing by your everyday life. But I also know you've worked with some big brands, and I don't know if you've had experience in this, but what can you provide people with advice for creating a framework with, that touch of autonomy, where people can take it and use the freedom to add in their personality and their tone and whatnot? What can you speak on in regards to that? Do you kind of follow my question?
I didn't.
Okay. Like if you were okay, let's just say you were head of Nike, right? And you were in charge of their social media and their interactions and their moments of connection. How would we go about setting up or filtering that down? Like, hey, this is how we want to communicate / add in your personality and your autonomy, or you're given freedom to go off these guidelines to a certain degree, or not, or maybe don't give people autonomy, which I don't think you're going to agree with. But how would we provide a framework, or do you provide a framework?
Okay, so this is not my specialty. In other words, I don't form courses to do this, but there are plenty of companies that do, and I'm a big believer in training and guardrails. I'm not saying, let your employees say anything. I'm saying take the time to just give them some kind of an idea. And when I say this, I don't mean give them the response. Now, here's the problem. People hear this, and what they want, companies, is a response to every potential inquiry. So that everybody, and again, now you're going back to canned responses. Instead of teaching your employees to respond judiciously, to respond in time, to have a conversation. I mean, it's as simple as saying, how can I help you? I mean, Adobe does an amazing job of that. If you tweet out something about Adobe, somebody will respond and say, how can I help you? And if it's something that's out of their ballpark, and by the way, these are many employees across all different parts of the brand who most of them can't help you with your specific problem. But what they're doing is they're paying attention to screens that show them people that are mentioning Adobe, and they're saying, what's the problem and how can we help you? And then they're finding a way or a person who can help you. So I think a big part of it is, first of all, you have to open up your mind and say, I want to empower my employees. Look at this. I have tens of thousands of employees. I have hundreds of employees. I have thousands of employees. Everyone says, how do I do this and have the manpower? Well, allow your employees to do more than they're doing now. And I don't mean give them more work, because then you get the HR department, by the way, that jumps in and goes, oh, no, you can't do this with employees without it being approved by us because it's more work. No, it's not more work. It's just allowing them to participate. They're all out there. And allowing them to do something when they want to do something. And by the way, Adobe has more people raising their hand saying, I want to be certified to reply on social media, than they have the ability to train people. And these are people that are volunteering for extra duty because they want that on their resume. They want to say they'll be able to do it. They want the training. Most employees, especially at a certain level, want more training. They want to leave with more knowledge than when they joined your company, because they recognize that their career is on a certain path. And these days, it doesn't matter where you are in your career, because people in their 50s and 60s are continuing to work. And a lot of them are desperate to have more information, to learn how to use social media, because they understand that that's going to be their next job, or maybe they're going to be able to start their own business after they leave their regular career, or maybe they're going to be able to take a job, be doing digital online customer service via social media platforms if they know more about it. So I think the first step is saying, okay, we have two things. We have an opportunity here with all these employees, and they want this. In other words, when we're the company that says, we're going to train you, we're going to teach you, we're going to help you. And then, look, there's two major reasons that most employees don't use social media channels. One is that they're afraid they're going to say something they're going to get in trouble for, even on their personal channels. Okay, you shouldn't have said that. We're a law firm, and you're talking about whatever, Number two is they don't have time. Because they have kids, they have leagues, they have their job, they've got all these other things, and they say, you know what, this whole social media thing is great, and every once in a while I post a picture of my puppy or my kid, but I don't really have time to build my personal brand. Well, what about if your company says, we're going to help you make the time? We're going to give you the time. We're going to give you the training. We're going to give you the platforms. We're going to give you great content to share. And I go through this all the time. I'm on the board of a company called Dynamic Signal. They are an employee advocacy and a comms platform that empowers employees to communicate with each other and the company and to share content. And what I try to explain to their clients, because most clients take it and it's very structured. Every hour, every day, 5 posts to put out about why you should work with this agency or, how to better your platform for employee advocacy. And I say to them, what they should be doing is sharing content that's also relative to their employees. Things to do with your kids on the weekend, how to save for college, where to go on vacation, cost-effective vacations, how to save money, things that you want to share, because here's what they're forgetting. It's not just about you as an employee saying, oh my God, I don't want to just share stuff about my company. It's about your audience. Because if I'm an employee of Kraft Foods and I have a lot of, and I'm building a social following, and all I do is post about Kraft food products, you know what's going to happen within 30 days? My followers are going to say, oh, geez, yeah, Ted posted another post about Kraft Foods, like, finger down the throat. But if they say, oh, Ted posted, hey, there might be something great about what I can do with my kids this weekend. Or Ted posted, it might be talking about the best CrossFit gym in the neighborhood or a new one that opened. I'm going to check it out. And then fed in with that is stuff about SaaS platforms or business information or a great product to buy. They're going to be more apt to think of that person as an influencer and somebody they want to go to. So what I'm saying is it's more than just telling them the right things to say. It's supplying them and empowering them of how to do this for themselves, which is where they're going to say, oh, they're not just doing this so I do it for the company. They help.
Yeah. And you know what? It's natural. Like all those things that you're mentioning, it's naturally built into the fabric of being a human being. And I know some people might have like a naysaying attitude, like, oh, people are lazy. And no, I mean, the reality is we're on this earth to continue to grow and learn. And it's like, it's just intrinsic in us. Now, good motivators, good managers, good, leaders, they bring that out. They tap into that. But I think it needs to, all of us need to have that view of like, it's more natural to want to yearn to learn.
David, how hard is it to train your employees to say, how can I help you?
No.
I mean,
it's just cultural.
How hard is it to teach that? How hard is it to allow some of your employees to like people's posts? And right on their profile, it says, senior manager at Kraft Foods. Oh my God. David Remar, the senior manager of brand at Kraft Foods, just liked my post. Oh my God! Wow, they're listening to me.
Big deal.
Oh, it's a huge deal. And by the way, the biggest problem with marketers and corporate executives is they live in their own bubble. In other words, they think the way they think. And there's a couple of things about that. First of all, it's very doubtful that they are their consumer. It's very doubtful they're the exact demographic. But even if they are the exact demographic of the consumer, they're way too knowledgeable. They know what they're trying to sell. They know what they're trying to get over. So they'll say, who cares about a brand liking your post? Are you kidding me? I've been dealing with women and mom bloggers. And some of these mom bloggers, by the way, are making serious bank. I mean, they're making money, and they still love it when a brand likes their post or makes a comment or says, thanks for sharing that. How hard is it to train employees or even the people on the brand team, on the brand social media team, to just not post crap, but to actually engage with their things with simple engagement, not engagement that can get you in trouble. Oh, hey, Lori, thanks for posting. Hey, Sue, I really like your recipe. Or just how hard is it to click a like button?
And on that note, just so everyone knows, you're not just following Ted's advice on the other types of benefits you get, the human benefit, the human interaction benefit, but you get the benefit of Facebook. You get the benefit of their algorithm. You get the benefit of them pushing your stuff up the news feeds, because what they're doing is they're monitoring those engagements, those likes, shares, comments. They're not going to be reading them and saying, oh, that was a seriously engaging comment. I mean, they can't get that granular. I don't think they ever will. I mean, maybe. Who knows, right? But they're monitoring a like, a share, an engagement, a comment, and So just by doing that alone is going to be getting you basically like free social media spend. It's going to be showing it because that's what ads do. They show. So organically, you're not only benefiting from everything that Ted's talking about in the branding and the view of a company, but you actually are literally getting free social media spend if you get your employees and everybody to engage in that way. So if you don't want to do it from the cultural aspect, do it from the financial aspect and getting free advertising out of it, because that's basically what's happening.
Exactly. I mean, there's so many more aspects that don't get, look, it goes back to like, it's not just about what you create, it's what you're not creating, or it's about the bad feeling you're creating. So like it's with Fitbit and other brands that do this stuff, it's not just about how they're responding. It's the bad taste they leave in somebody's mouth, or the thing. It's not just about what I say online. It's what I feel later. It's about how, I mean, look, like I said, Fitbit came through and they replaced it, but look, my time is worth a lot more than that free $89 replacement. And they made me, I mean, believe me, I earn a bit more than $89 an hour. And I will tell you that I spent probably at least a couple hours on this. And part of it, truth be told, if I wasn't in this business, I probably would have walked away from it a long time, well before they offered me the free Fitbit replacement. I like to, once I'm in, like most of what I do with brands.
It's market research for you.
It's part of market research for me. And I try not to, like, I don't just pick brands. I do it with brands that are actually part of my life. I needed TVs for my house. I went to Best Buy. I bought stuff for my renovation with Amazon and Bed Bath & Beyond. With a Fitbit, it was through Fitbit. So, I learned these interaction and engagements. So then once I'm in them, I want to see the end result. I'm plus look like anybody else. I'm human. I like to win. I like to know that a brand's, and by the way, but I also did get a lot of value well beyond my hourly rate for the satisfaction that the brand finally made good on their product. And that's not me as a marketer. That's me as a human being, as a person. And there's so much of that. And it's just a pity, and I see this time and time again. And a lot of it has to do with not allowing your employees to think. My brother bought a barbecue. He had it for a year. Something fell apart. There was a piece that was broken. He brought it to the store. I mean, they kept trying to order the part. They couldn't get the part. I mean, then they give him this whole thing about what he can do, and if he wants something now, he can only get a $300 credit. And in the end, what did they do? It took them forever, but eventually they replaced the damn barbecue. But they put him through so many hoops, he's never going back to that place. And they were going to replace the barbecue anyway. And by the way, this employee kept saying, "Sir, I really know that the best thing for me and my store is just to give you a new barbecue, but around store policy, I'm not allowed to do that." And and he, by the way, my brother is a college professor, political science, nothing even close to marketing. And sometimes he thinks what I do is, he's very into it. I mean, just to give you his specialty is women's grassroots movements in third world countries and how they enable and impact change in these countries. So, what I do is kind of like, really, you market to people? That's what you do? But he, of course, reads my stuff, and he's like, "Oh, my God, like, your return on relationship was so much." Like, he sent me this conversation to say, "This is exactly what you talk and write about every day. And guess what? I'm never going back to that place." Mm-hmm. And not so much because of the problem with the barbecue, but because they don't allow their employees to think.
Yeah. No, I'm hearing you. And I hope what everybody's getting out of this is to allow their employees to think and encourage it, because you keep saying not enough time. If like emails, batch your emails, return them in the morning and return them before you leave. Unless you're in customer service, you don't need to be responding within 10 minutes. If you're a salesperson, maybe check your email 3 times a day. It depends on the kind of job you have. But in general, you can find time by being more efficient. Socially, what are we talking about? We're talking about a couple minutes here and there. It's just about structure. It's about empowering. It's about bringing focus to it. And a lot of times you just need to know that what you're doing is needle moving, so that, you put the effort and time and emphasis on it. But just understand from hearing Ted and, umpteen other experts out there, they're all saying the same things. They're all saying you've got to engage. You've got to be real. You've got to be human. I mean, it's all you're hearing these days, because we've lived past of course, with AI coming and chatbots, and of course there's going to be some automation at play here, but I think we've lived through that in the last 5 to 8 years now, or 5 to 6 years of, whoa, you know what? This isn't quite working the best way. We got to be more human, and everything's circling back that way. So I think everyone, especially top level people listening to this, like, really buy into that and then pass it down and empower your employees. Now, before I let you go, Ted, I'd like to talk about like a bigger type of moment of connection I read on a blog that you put out. And there's a couple of examples, one being Chelsea Handler and Why We March, and another one being the CEO of Netflix, Reed Hastings, and what he did. These are bigger things that you're seeing out there in the world and then taking a stance on them. Like to hear your thoughts, and maybe talk about these two examples or not. It's up to you. And talk about that, seeing something going on and then having the company as a whole make a stand. What are your thoughts there?
Well, that's a very personal, brand-centric decision for a brand. So if we're talking about big brands, that's got to come from the top down, and then a lot of thought has to be given to that, and I really respect companies that do it, and I think they gain respect, especially if it's a thoughtful approach. Look, personally, I say what I think, and I mean what I say, and I can say almost anything I want because I'm my own personal brand, and I'm very aggressive in my political posts and things that I say, and sometimes I get a little bit off key or speak in a way that some people might take offense to, but I can do that. Now, if I was CEO of my company, a bigger company, I'd have to also give thought to my employees and my business, and I would certainly stand up for what I believe. I just might be a little bit more professional, and that's not to say I'm not professional, because I try very hard to be open-minded and professional and to engage with people and to let people have their say in certain directions, unless I'm just trying to make a point. But from a company standpoint, you've got to think that out. You've got to think about it from a company perspective and say, hey, we're taking a stand, we're doing something right, we're standing behind something, and then you have to weave it into your business. It can't just be a one-time post like, hey, we're not happy about these changes in immigration. It's got to be something where you actually, put lobbying efforts that go against it. It's got to be something where you stand up and try to recruit people that are immigrating or coming into the country, or from different races or things like that. And that's just one example. But any of these kind of things, in my belief is, if it's a one-off, if you just make a statement, then you're doing a disservice to your brand. You need to make it more about what do we stand for and what do we care about, and then pick and choose your battles of where it's something you want to get involved in.
All right. On that note, like I had a bit of a conversation or discussion with my father, and because I had enough with something going on politically, and I decided to put it out there. I just couldn't take it anymore. And he's like, well, you got to be careful. And I was like, well, he's like, you have responsibility, and, we're counting on you. And, I was raised with guilt, but I love my parents. They're amazing. I do gratitude walk every day, and they're in that gratitude walk. I was raised by the most loving and supportive parents. With that being said, don't always agree politically, and they do still have that guilt, entrenched in their communication sometimes. Love them to death, though. Couldn't be luckier. But I disagreed with him, and I said, nope, Dad, I feel like I'm growing this company so that I never do have to answer to anybody. And with that being said, everything needs to be said with respect. And, when people disagree, you need to have, professional demeanor in your communications with everybody. But I feel like I'm going to attract the right kind of business. And if somebody's not going to do business with me because of that, well, then so be it. And I'm fine with that. And it sounds like you're saying the same thing. Obviously it was well thought out. I wasn't just knee jerk. I realized that somebody might see what I had to say, but at the same time, I thought it through, and I was like, good. I do. I feel like I'll get more business because people are going to align with my beliefs versus just not doing business with me because of my beliefs, which may have happened. Who knows? But I was okay with it. and we had this long discussion about it, and I think I got him to come around. I don't know, but is that kind of what you're saying too? I mean, if you had the advice, I mean, are you saying, yeah, I mean, think about it, but go for it versus not taking a stance at all, or are you saying?
If we're talking about an individual and a personal brand, I think you know my answer because you've seen what I do. I'm 100% with you. And by the way, I get the same thing. People go, "Oh my God, you shouldn't be writing that. You're going to lose business." And I'm like, that's business that I'm totally willing to lose. If a company's not going to hire me because I speak my mind politically, and I'm 59 years old, I'm turning 60 December 26th, and this is the first time in my life that I've been this vocal and this engaged and this passionate. And for me, it's almost a duty. Like I'm building this influence and this social reach, and I'm going to sell more and just use it to sell more Oreos. Oh, by the way, I don't sell Oreos because I'm vegan now. But I mean,
vegan? No, Oreos are vegan. It's one of those weird ones, so are bacon bits.
No, but they might be vegan, but they also got about a million grams of sugar.
I didn't say they were healthy.
And I one of the things I'm avoiding is sugar. But back to my point is that, and I went through this during the pre-election time. I got very vocal in opposition to Donald Trump, and I still am. And I had people reach out to me. They all started privately, like, Ted, you shouldn't be writing this. And I'll tell you right now, because I wrote a blog post about this, a lot of them were social media influencers. And they're telling me, you shouldn't be doing this. You're going to kill your brand. And it turned out that they didn't really care about me, most of these people that were reaching out. They cared about themselves, because the way this whole conversation progressed is I kept saying, yeah, but I don't care about that. Like, if I'm going to lose business because of this, this is very important to me. And I'm going to make my feelings felt, and I'm going to share them. And then they started saying, well, you shouldn't be doing this. This isn't the place for it. You're never going to change people's minds here. And I'm like, really?
Oh, what a horrible way to think.
You're making your living working for brands, helping change people's minds. But I'll tell you right now, I've had my mind changed, and I've had people tell me I've changed their mind. Do I think I'm going to do it at a certain scale? No. But by the way, my biggest interest is not changing people's minds, but rallying like-minded people. In other words, getting my friends and my followers and my audience, who I know do agree with me, to take some action, to get a little bit more involved. And there, I know I'm having an effect. So, and then it went further. Some of these same social media influencers reached out and said, well, listen, if it's only about you, fine, but you're hurting us. And I go, what do you mean I'm hurting you? Because you're hurting the image of the industry. And that's when I wrote my blog post. And I basically, in no uncertain terms, said, basically, hashtag SMD. I'm not going to get graphic on that. You can use your imagination. But, how dare you? And if all you guys care about is selling more Oreos or selling more pizza or selling other things, and you don't think using your influence or your skills is worthwhile in the political environment, then I feel bad for you. But guess what? I'm not going to tell you you're doing something wrong. I'm just going to do what's right for me. So I will tell you that, yes, you have to be careful about what companies you work for and things you say and whether there are real serious conflicts of interest. And it's worth taking the time to investigate that. But more important than that, I will tell you the same thing I've told my daughters over and over again since they're little girls is be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind. Dr. Seuss was a brilliant freaking man, and you have shoes on your feet and feet on your, what is it? I don't remember the other thing, but basically it says you go where you choose. Use your brain, have a good attitude, a good perspective, let it lead to a mindset, and then just make sure that you're actually speaking in a professional and polite manner, that you give other people a chance to say what they think when it's appropriate, and you do the right thing, and you speak something that is important to you in your heart. To me, everybody wants to know who people are, and I have a lot of friends that don't agree with me, but they respect me for speaking my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you, and I think we'll end on that. And I applaud you, and that's part of the point I made. Is like, if I get some sort of influence, be it morphed into an elite athlete or grow a business to great lengths, and I have influence, I'm going to use it. I think we all need to. And with that being said, that doesn't mean being mean or talking down to other people or anything like that. Nobody's saying that, but be yourself, and then as far as company goes, get that fabric of that culture filtered down to the rest, because I think there'll be a lot more good than bad that comes out of anything, and mistakes will be made, but a lot more benefits will be had. Ted,
how can people continue to learn from you, buddy?
It's easy. Just go to my blog, tedrubin.com. I'm Ted Rubin on just about every social platform. Ted Rubin on Twitter, Ted Rubin on Instagram, Ted Rubin on Facebook. It's Ted Rubin on LinkedIn. It's linkedin.com/in/Ted Rubin. My email address is tedrubin@gmail.com, and my phone number is 516-270-5511. Reach out anytime.
Gotcha. And just for the listeners, it's TEDRUBIN. All right, Ted. Appreciate it, buddy. Always fun to talk with you. And until next time.
You got it, man.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for listening to the latest podcast. Feel free to go to magnificent.com/blog to see the show notes for this interview, as well as those from many other of the world's top marketing experts. Have a great day.